to the table here because you have just been witnessing a discussion at the Intergroup for Animal Welfare at the European Parliament here in Strasbourg. The theme to be discussed was the meat from horses, imported or not imported to the EU countries. There is already an export going on from American states towards Europe. Mm-hmm. We know rather little about the conditions of this meat. Is it labeled at all? Do you know that when you go and buy?
Well, I mean, some countries that export to Europe don't have any animal health regulations in place at all. Clearly, European authorities are looking for similar requirements in the countries who are supplying meat for us. And certainly the consumers in Europe would be horrified if they've seen how horses are being treated.
Yes, because we are not talking about eating horse meat or not eating horse meat.
No.
We're talking about what could be called the background of that meat people eat. We know a little about it now here at the Parliament because it was shown in horrible videos how the horses are treated. But now comes an agreement between the states, between Canada and the EU, allowing horse meat to be imported by the EU without being regulated back home?
Well, I think that's the substance of the emerging discussions around the trade deals between Europe and the US and Europe and Canada. But we've heard horrific stories today of horses being purchased in the sale rooms of America and then transported 3,000, 4,000 kilometers.
Yeah, because the irony here is that slaughtering horses is not allowed in the States. So they're exporting either to Mexico or to Canada via tremendous distances.
Absolutely. And, you know, there is no, the trucks are sealed, so the animals can't receive any assistance. And often, when they open the trucks, you find dead animals or animals that can't stand up anymore. And this is just obscene. And I think if consumers knew about that, they would say, no, they don't want to eat meat. Maybe we don't buy much horse meat per se in the EU, but it is used as part of processed food. And I think that as long as the conditions of welfare and health are met, I don't think that's a huge obstacle for the consumers. But the simple fact is now, in Belgium, which is where the majority of the American horse meat is exported to, people are not aware and people would not be wanting to eat that meat.
Now, I was astonished by learning that Belgium and the Netherlands were the main importers.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was Italy, because we have to bear in mind that transports are going on via EU's ways, autostrada and so on, from Poland, from Russia, under similar conditions from Romania and Bulgaria with horses. So we should be more careful about how horses are treated before slaughtered.
Yeah,
correct.
I mean, absolutely. I think in Europe we've recognised that animals are sentient beings.
It's even said in the Lisbon Treaty.
Yeah. Whereas in the States, in Mexico, in Uruguay, in Canada, they are goods. It could be a sack of cement for all that people care about how they're treated.
What can the EU do?
Well, we heard today that the FVO, the Food and Veterinary Office, are actually considering banning imports of horse meat from certain countries. That's one thing we can do.
But is it realistic?
Well, I think that if they fail to, I think Mexico was a case in point. If they fail to have some health and welfare standards for animals, they will be banned from exporting to Europe. And actually, for the relatively small number of slaughterhouses for horses, Europe exports are good business. And so maybe they will be influenced into introducing some health and welfare standards.
Being a parliamentarian, and that's my last question, how do you feel about a commission deciding what shall be done, what shall not be done, how to behave when it comes to the term of animal welfare? They focus on animal health.
Yeah.
What do you think is the result? Is the commission deciding or is the parliament deciding?
I have to say to you that as a constituency member of the European Parliament, I represent 8.5 million people in the south of England. What number one or number two in my postbag are animal health, animal welfare issues. So it's not as if the people of Europe don't care. What we have to do, you look at the fact that over 1 million, I think it was 1.5 million people, signed the petition to limit transport times within Europe for animals. You know, our job is to raise the profile of animal health, animal welfare. And to me, if you look at the issue of transport and you look at the issues around transmissible diseases, I mean, any vet will tell you that if you coop up animals in a confined space, it is a breeding ground for germs and for disease. And so how could you transport something, an animal, for hours and hours and hours for, pardon me, without being injurious to their welfare?